the wedding cake theory is this theory that there's a hierarchy on every playground. It's divided into layers, and I look at it as 3 layers: top, middle, and the bottom. And the top layer are the people in charge. Like, I'm captain, I'm picking teams. You're on my team, you're on the other team. I'm kicking first, I'm the quarterback. These kids run the games. They tell other people what to do. They're in charge. They get to be involved in everything based on their own choices and decision making. And everybody listens to them. Who's listening to them? The middle layer. The middle layer of the wedding cake is the one. They're the wannabes. They want to be in the games. They want to play. They want to, participate. So they're not the leaders, or at least they don't think they can be. So they go along with the kids at the top. They listen to what they say. They do what they tell them to do. And although they just pick me, be on your team, I don't care if I don't get to be the quarterback. That's okay. Just pick me. These kids want to be in the game so bad, they'll just do whatever to be with these top layer kids. Well, the wannabes have a lot of potential. They just don't use it and don't realize it. The bottom layer of the wedding cake are the kids who are left out. If they try to go over and get in a soccer game, nobody wants them. They don't pick them. They tell them to get lost. If they do get into a game, nobody passes them the ball. No one lets them be the kicker or the quarterback or the pitcher or whatever. So they discover, this bottom layer of kids, they discover very early that they don't belong, that they're not good. Nobody really wants them to be on their team. So they shy away from the games. And if you ask them, do you want to play soccer? They'll be like, no, I don't like soccer. Some of them love soccer, but they would never admit it because they just think, I'm not that good, or, nobody wants me anyway. So the bottom layer kind of gets left out. And some of them choose to get left out because they've either been hurt before, or they feel like, it's not for them. So when I go to a school, I really try to get the staff to focus on this middle layer. This middle layer are the wannabes who want to play. They're not always the most popular or have the greatest athletic ability, but they do like to play, and they're pretty good. And I tell these kids, you know what? You don't need to go over there and listen to these 3 people tell you what to do. You could go start your own game, and we could have 2 soccer games, 2 football games, 2 kickball games, whatever it is. You don't need to stay in that game because you're not getting any turns. So the middle layer are the ones I focus on, and I try to get them to understand that they have the ability and they're capable of going and doing it on their own instead of just listening to the top of the wedding cake. And if you can get that middle layer engaged, it causes the hierarchy to break up. The top of the cake will crumble. Those kids won't have anybody to tell what to do. And the bottom layer gets pulled up. Some of them will get into those games with that middle layer kids. They'll be fine in there. So that's what I really try to do. It's focus on the middle layer kids. I've been to schools where some of the top layer kids, my favorite one was Newport Beach Elementary School out in Newport Beach, California. And Newport Beach probably is the most expensive zip code in the country, if not the world. It's $6 million homes, right on the water there. It's really a nice place. And the school sits right on the beach. When you walk out the back of the school, you cross what we call on the east a boardwalk, but it's made out of concrete. And it's all like skateboarders and joggers and walkers and bicycles up and back and forth all day long. And you cross that, and then there's a grass area where the kids play, and then there's the blacktop where they play, and then there's the sand and then the ocean. So it sits right on the ocean. It's a pretty nice place. And so I go there and I do my assembly, Dr. Reese's assembly for the kids, and I teach them 4-down football, which you guys know what it is, but it's a 4-on-4 football game where you're not allowed to run with the ball. It's a passing only game, so no one gets tackled. And so we get outside, 5th grade comes out for recess, and there's this kid. He's about 5'10", 5th grader. And I'm like looking up at him. His name's Jagger. Jagger comes out, and there's about, 12 little 5th graders behind him. And we're standing there, and he says to me, Dr. Recess, we're not going to play your version of football today. We're going to play our regular version. And he turns and looks at, he's like, right, guys? And these 12 kids are looking at him, looking at me, and they're like, yeah. And they don't know what to do. So Jagger is not the top of the wedding cake. No, he's not in that top layer. No. He's the actual plastic bride and groom that stands on the top of the cake. He's not in the layer. He's on top of the layer. He's that far up. He's way up. So he tries to manipulate all these boys to go with him. And they're just looking at me and looking at him. And I can see in their faces, some of them are Well, Jagger's here every day. This Dr. Recess guy is only here once. Like, what do we do? We're going with Jagger because Jagger's got a hold of these kids. Like they're afraid of him.
Wow.
He's like 5'10", and everybody else is like 4'8". So anyway, I said, no, Jagger, we're gonna try my game. I'm only here one day, so just try my game. So I get the kids involved, and we set up 2 games of 4-down football because we had like about 16 kids, and it was 8 in each game. So we had 2 games, and Jagger pouts and storms off and goes and stands over to the side about 20, 30 yards away and just watches. And it takes him about 10 minutes to come back over to me and say, okay, I'll try your game. So he did. He got in the game, and he played, and he had fun. Of course, he wanted to be the quarterback the whole time, which you're not allowed to do either. One of the rules is you got to have a different quarterback every play. So he didn't like that rule. But, yeah, he was my favorite top of the wedding cake kid. I try to set up games where there's a little bit of something for everybody, and you can jump in at your own level. And if you mess up, it doesn't matter. And if you succeed, that's great.
Mm-hmm. That's right.